morning. My name is Bob Brownstein. Most of you don't know me, so before I begin my presentation, I'll tell you just a little bit about who I am. I currently work for a small think tank in San Jose that does research on public policy. But before that, I spent 20 years in local government. 12 years as the chief of staff for the Santa Clara County supervisor, and 8 years as the budget director for San Jose Mayor Susan Hammer. So first, what does the white paper do? I think everyone here has seen it. What it essentially does is it says the current pension system is, quote, non-sustainable. And therefore, it has to be replaced with a two-tier system that is a system in which new employees get lower pension benefits than current employees. Now, to start with, I have a problem with the way the League brings this issue to city councils for a decision. First, it is clearly a proposal that was developed by a single organization through its own internal deliberations. There was virtually no public participation in the process. There was virtually no press participation or observations in the process. There was no open and unbiased review of the assumptions or the data or the analysis that went into the white paper. In fact, when you read the white paper, if you're somebody like me who does research on public policy, the first thing that strikes you is the almost complete absence of either data or analysis. So you aren't even given something to think about. But what is particularly disturbing is that the League is still debating this white paper as it's asking people to adopt it, and the information in terms of the nature of that debate isn't being made public either. For example, in April 9th, the League of Cities Employee Relations Policy Committee, that's the one that works on these issues, had a major debate about the white paper. And I quote from the minutes of that meeting: "The committee discussed the 2010 white paper at length. A motion was made to adopt the white paper with changes that reflected that discussion. Then a substitute motion was offered to adopt the 2010 white paper as is. The substitute motion passed on a vote of 17 in favor, 15 opposed." Okay, does anybody in this room know what was discussed at that meeting? Anybody? Does anybody know what the proposed changes were? Does anybody know why 15 people on the committee voted against the existing white paper? The major point of the white paper is that the current system is not sustainable. What definition of sustainability does the white paper contain? There is no definition of sustainability. How can you tell if your current system is not sustainable if you do not know what the term sustainability means? There have been efforts to try and cost out what the long-term financial benefits of a two-tier system would be. Santa Cruz has done that kind of analysis. They've done it with the assistance of CalPERS, and they found out that the ultimate benefit, that is the benefit that occurs when your entire workforce has turned over, is something like 1.5 to 2% of payroll. Now, I can't stand here today and tell you that the pension system in Santa Cruz is sustainable or not sustainable. But what I can tell you is that if it's not sustainable, it won't be made sustainable because of a policy change that affects 1.5 to 2% of payroll. Because if you do a projection over 30 years of your potential revenues and your potential expenditures, 1.5 to 2% of payroll is going to be well within your margin of error. And you don't move from non-sustainability to sustainability by implementing a public policy whose impact isn't even going to break out of your margin of error. You read the white paper, you assume that the two-tier model is virtually a flawless policy and one that will solve your problems. But two-tier models actually have a history, and the history is a very unimpressive one. So what can we say about two-tier models? The first thing we can say is, in terms of short-term budget benefit, there isn't any. You have to have substantial turnover before you see any gains whatsoever. Secondly, two-tier systems, to the extent they generate benefits at all, tend to generate benefits when you don't need them rather than when you do need them. When does two-tier system help you? When the economy is booming, when your tax revenues are up, when you have a surplus in your local government system, and you're hiring wildly. That's when you make money on a two-tier system. If you're in the kind of situation you're in now, where you're shedding employees rather than hiring, two-tier does you almost no good at all. And the third point, and the point that is perhaps most important, is just when you're supposed to be getting to the position where a two-tier system helps you, where you really got 30 or 40% turnover, and you've got a bunch of people who are at the second tier, the two-tier system increasingly shows that it itself is non-sustainable. Why? Because just think about what a two-tier system is. Under a two-tier system, you're telling the people you hire, no matter how hard you work, no matter how successful you are, no matter how much effort you put in, no matter how much you increase your skills, you will be second class in our organization for your entire career. Americans don't take that kindly. And therefore, what happens in two-tier systems is, as soon as you get enough people to be able to shake the system and demand that they will be treated as first-class workers like everybody else, what do you think happens? They make that demand and they put all their energy behind it. So look at the record of two-tier systems. Hughes Aircraft did a two-tier system, abandoned it after 3 years because of disaffection amongst its workers. Supermarkets in Washington, D.C. established a two-tier system. When the number of employees in the second tier reached 40%, they abandoned it because of massive worker unrest. American Airlines instituted a two-tier system for ground workers, pilots, and flight attendants. As the number of people in the second tier grew, there was, quote, a revolt amongst the workers at American, and American reestablished a single tier. Causes of strikes at BART, at UPS, and at Northwest Airlines. In each case, the strike settlements ended the two-tier model. Two-tier systems, and study after study have shown this. They lower morale, they decrease teamwork, they reduce productivity, and they generate significant increases in turnover. After hearing all of this critique, you might be saying, well, there's got to be a better way then. And I would suggest there is. And the better way that I would put forward is the method that was just adopted by the city of Santa Clara, that's a city in Santa Clara County, just 2 weeks ago. In the city of Santa Clara, the League of City White Paper was presented to the City Council, and the City Council essentially said, where's the beef? Where's the data? Where's the analysis? Where's the options? Where's the pros and cons? And when it became evident that those did not exist, this is what the City of Santa Clara City Council said. City Manager, we want you to create a working group. We want that working group to include your staff and representatives of all the bargaining units in the City of Santa Clara. And we want you to go out and evaluate what are the problems in our pension system, and then bring us back a recommendation based on real data and real analysis. I conclude my remarks by pointing out, in this case, there is absolutely no reason for haste. If there's one thing everyone recognizes about the two-tier proposal, is that if you do it a year later, you lose nothing, because its positive impacts in the short run are essentially non-existent. So why not take the year, do something like the Santa Clara model, and make sure that your approach to public policy on pensions both meets the standard of democratic principles and also is well-founded in data and analysis. Thank you.